Time for Todd's Odds, brought to you by FanDuel. It's our sports betting analyst, Todd Fuhrman, good friend of the show, and loves hockey, so we love talking hockey with Todd. And Nikita Kucherov, Nathan MacKinnon have been incredible this season, putting up big numbers, Todd, as you know. Kucherov up to 139 points, MacKinnon just a couple of points behind. Connor McDavid is injured. It seems like the Art Ross Trophy and the Hart Trophy are those two guys to battle out, MacKinnon and Kucherov. My question for you is, do you feel there's a potential upset that could be looming for either the Hart or the Art Ross?
You know what, Jay? It's incredible. When you watch these guys go neck and neck, I mean, Nikita Kucherov puts up 3-point games like they're going out of style, and he's playing in the Quebec Major Junior League. Meanwhile, when you look at Nathan MacKinnon, he had his Heisman Trophy-like moment with the hat trick against the Minnesota Wild. It made Wild players look like they were skating in reverse. And I'm not going to tell people something they don't already know. MacKinnon is an overwhelming favorite for this award, but I think he's a little bit overvalued in this market. While it does appear to be a two-horse race between those two and the video game-like numbers they're putting up, I think you look further down the board, and Auston Matthews at a price north of 20-1. I mean, if he's able to get to that 70-game threshold, 70-goal threshold, easy for me to say, that we haven't seen since the early 90s, I think there are worse bets you can make in this market. He's a long shot for a reason, but I think that's the most intriguing value proposition currently in that particular market. And
I think Leaf fans would agree with you. Bottom of the Eastern Conference has been fascinating, as you know, Todd. Couple of spots still up for grabs. Third in the Metro. The second wild card spot. The Islanders currently minus 670 to make the postseason. Seems like a lock at this point. Everything else after that kind of up for grabs. Any value you see there for that second playoff spot?
I mean, it's the definition of a muddled mess. It feels like anytime a team has a stranglehold on one of those playoff positions, they inevitably go on a 3-game losing streak. And would it shock anybody if this is an Isles team that lost to the Canadiens, lost the revenge game against the New York Rangers, and suddenly found themselves with a little bit of work to do in the final couple games of the season? But I look at the teams here, and from a pure power ranking perspective, I know the schedule doesn't do them any favors. I have to look at the Pittsburgh Penguins at plus 130 or thereabouts. Sidney Crosby has single-handedly put this team on his back, and you look at the way that they've gone out there and performed. I'm not going to say it's a true apples-to-apples comparison year over year, but it was only a season ago where the Florida Panthers were discounted. They leaned on a backup goalie to step in what Alex Lyon did to take over for Sergei Bobrovsky to get them into the playoffs. Bob got hot, and the rest is history, winning the Eastern Conference. Alex Nedeljkovic doing something similar. I'm sure we'll get a Tristan Jarry sighting at some point. But the Pittsburgh Penguins, knowing they control their own destiny at plus 130, too hard for me to pass up compared to what the Red Wings and Capitals have in front of them.
We have, throughout the season, asked you for Stanley Cup picks at various times. At one point, you picked the LA Kings, and another, the Dallas Stars as outright Cup champions. Do you see value on the board right now to pick anybody else to hoist Lord Stanley?
So the good thing, Jay, is right now, as things stand, I have the Dallas Stars, my top power-rated team in the league. So I feel pretty comfortable with that position. You look at some of the favorites with very short numbers right now, whether it's the Florida Panthers, the Carolina Hurricanes, the Edmonton Oilers, or the Colorado Avalanche. All worthy adversaries and are going to have a whole lot of say in terms of who comes out of the respective conferences. But I don't think there's enough meat on the bone to try and add them to our futures portfolio. We talked a little bit about the Penguins, and everybody loves a Cinderella story. I think this Penguins team at 100-1 is worth a small nibble. If they get into the playoffs, look, we've seen this Eastern Conference be up for grabs game in and game out. And the only team I think right now that's rounding into shape is the Carolina Hurricanes. So if the Pittsburgh Penguins can find their way into the tournament, would it shock you at all if number 87 continue to bootstrap this team with a deep, improbable playoff run? I think the Penguins are worth a little bit of a stab at 100-1, because if they do get in, that number won't be available.
Wow, 100-1. That would be incredible. What a fun final week of the regular season it's going to be. We're going to talk to Todd about it next week. And, wow, this has been a lot of fun. Todd Fuhrman, thanks for this, my friend.
Always a pleasure. Can't wait for the playoffs to start in earnest.